What is going on, Ben people? It's your boy UT here, back with another video. I'm back with another episode of the Tea and Tackle podcast, a podcast where we talk football, we give you some bets and predictions occasionally, and we talk a lot of shit in between. It is January still, so we are sticking with the transfer theme, and we got plenty of transfer talks to talk about again this week, as we have done through the month. Some interesting ones today, but I'm joined with the usual Ziggy and Jaden. How are we doing, boys? Good week?
Good week, yeah.
Yeah. Been keeping up with much?
Bit of AFCON. It's always entertaining.
For like mad games, some mad games. It's always expected though, isn't it? Plenty of shady goals.
It doesn't disappoint.
Yeah, don't disappoint, just like the both Madrid games as well. There's plenty of controversy going on in football, which we'll probably cover some point later on down the line. I'm sick of talking about VAR, so we'll stick to the transfers today. If you aren't familiar, we've done this a couple times now. You go check out the previous videos. Basically, we give transfer rumours or set transfers that have already been made recently within the last week, and we give them a rating. We give them a player rating and we give them a club rating. So basically the rating for a player, is it a good move personally for the player, for his development, and also a club move, is it the right move for the club to bring that specific player in? So I guess we'll get started. First one, obviously a podcast favourite. We spoke about him a lot. I'm sure it's going to divide some opinions. We've got the big bad Kieran Trippier. Links from Newcastle to Bayern Munich, another one joining the English trio, or the English boys over in Germany. Apparently, Newcastle have already rejected a loan offer and a transfer fee. So whether Bayern are going to come back in again, but it seems pretty set. Thoughts on this one, boys? Good move.
Well, I'll let you start, Jaden.
All right, I'll start. It's a bit gutting for Newcastle, I think, to lose a captain like that. I think it's a bit audacious for Bayern to suggest a loan, because that doesn't help Newcastle one bit, I don't think. But to be honest, from my opinion, he'll be a starter at Bayern, and definitely an improvement over what they have right now. So I would say good for him and good for Bayern, but Newcastle are the losers in this transfer deal. I think they're slightly short of fullbacks if they lose Trippier as well. So
they're short of everyone.
Yeah,
injuries and
ton of injuries.
It's strange, isn't it? Because what we spoke about last week, we were talking about Guimaraes and obviously Isaac. It's such a strange situation that you thought with the owners coming in, like we said, they shouldn't really be having problems with financial fair play. They've got good enough lawyers and enough money to try figure it all out. It just seems strange that like all their big players, is it now because they're not kind of competing, they've had the injuries and maybe they don't get European football again, so all these players are moving? Is it purely financial fair play? We've just got to get some money into the club. It just seems a strange situation for the richest club in the world for me.
I think it makes more sense, the signings that we've heard, the outgoings that we've heard this week than the ones last week. Like Guimaraes and Isaac just don't make any sense to me. But what we've heard, Almiron, Wilson, Trippier, yeah, like sell them. None of those are like need to keeps. You know, like I think Almiron's been class. But whether he can be part of that next level step up, I don't know. Like, he has been class, so he's probably the one that I would not sell out of those three. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's better to sell those three than sell Guimaraes and Isaac, for sure.
Surely with financial fair play, that's not going to help you much if you get like like a small amount of money from one or two players, and Bruno will get you 100 or something like that. I don't know if that's.
I don't know how much they need though. Yeah, that's the thing. It's cost dependent on that. So
yeah. And do you sell, like we were saying last week? Do you sell, for sort of lower end players, all that one big value play? And it's like, it's such a statement because the big value player is the players you sort of need in the club to help bring up more bigger players in as well. They kind of set a goal. You know, having these big players a precedent of where you want to take this club. If you get rid of them now, I mean, they've got the money, so there might not be much problem bringing in other players, but it might be a process that we've seen. We thought Newcastle was already jumping the gun ahead, you know, applying for, going for Champions League, and so is it, I don't know,
I think they might have...
is it taking a step back?
Definitely a step back, and you're right, it's not going to attract, you know, the players that they can attract now if they sell Isaac or Bruno. It's not going to attract that same caliber of player, I think. And maybe they forecasted a bit of a better run in the Champions League, but that might have cut their season short a bit. And now they're, you know, I can't see them selling 3 or 4 players with their injury crisis. So maybe that's why they were looking at the big one to get him out of maybe a little hole they're in.
Yeah.
That's probably also like a contributor to like the revenue in that if you don't make Champions League, you know, you lose out on a lot of revenue. So that could be to do with the FFP too, which I don't know if they just thought that they were automatically going to place top 4 again, which that's pretty short-sighted if they thought that. But given how much everyone else is improving.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he's even going back to Trippier, though, it's such like an influential player. Like these big players, they want to play Champions League. So if you can't guarantee them that, you know, maybe they're happy going as well as someone like we said, Guimaraes to Barca and Liverpool, someone that can offer him that style or that quality of football right now. You know, players want it right now rather than be part of a process. Trippier was one I thought was brought in for the process, though. He was one that sort of, you know, he could go down as kind of a club legend if he stuck to what he was doing. He's captain, he's so influential, and he's knocking on a bit. Like, it seems like a perfect place for him. But for a Bayern Munich to come in for a 32, 33-year-old Trippier, well, I mean, they're just bringing all the English boys across. I'm like, not even the top tier ones either. Eric Dyer, Kieran Trippier, like, is it something Tuchel's seen? Because what's the desperation on that? Or is it just availability?
They're playing Lima at right back and he's like CDM. Yeah. So they're pretty desperate for anyone. And for 12 mil, I guess it's a stopgap, you know, like, why not?
And Davies as well. Davies, I know, is the other fullback, but we've seen Trippier play out on the left. Davies has been linked for a while, but it looks like he'll probably go to Madrid at some point. That might be one we cover in future. So maybe it is something they're just bringing in. Is like, okay, help the other English guy. You know what I mean? Are these players also been brought in to kind of help Kane maybe settle a little more? Or
I'm not sure he can make any friends. I'm not sure he made many friends on his own, so they're buying friends in for him.
They're just trying to do a psyop on the English, destroy our like best players from the national team, just destroy all the morale so that Germany can beat us in the next World Cup.
So Southgate can bench them all.
Yeah.
I want to hear him. Does he still? I want to hear him speak German, Ken. I've not heard it yet because he struggles with English, doesn't he? So it'd be interesting to see it. Anyway, back to Trippier. Loan transfer fee. Loan seems strange for me, and a fee rejected. I think Newcastle, they've got to hopefully stay firm on this one. I think he's a crucial player for them moving forward, and to have at this minute in time, I think he's very influential to the team. Nah?
Sell him. 12 mil for 33-year-old. Come on, man, sell him.
What, and you got who's back up? Livramento. Who else comes in there?
On the right, I'm not sure, to be honest.
Who cares? Put Dubravka in there, man. Anyone would do.
But like, from a Trippier point of view, you're going to a Bayern, you're probably gonna, you know, you're gonna compete for the league and compete for Champions League. Like, for him personally, at 33 years old, if you're getting game time at Bayern Munich because they need a right back, it's surely a good move, no?
Yeah, for sure. I think he's definitely has a far better chance of winning something at Bayern, possibly Champions League, more likely the league. Maybe not this season because Leverkusen are killing it. But yeah, it's a great move for him and in the twilight of his career.
Yeah. All right, boys. Let's. I guess we'll get onto some ratings for Kieran himself. So for Kieran Trippier, whether it is a loan move or a buy eventually, it looks like it's something that Bayern are going to push for. We're going to give it a player rating and a club rating. I'll let you start, Jaden, on this one. We'll start with a player rating. Kieran Trippier at Bayern Munich out of 5. What are we giving it?
For the player, I'm going to give him 4 because it's a good move for him. Definitely a step up and a chance of winning trophies. And then for the team, I'm also going to say 4. I think it's good for Bayern. They're getting a very decent player, and he's top 3 in assists this season. Chances created, crossing attempts, forward passes, and touches in the Prem this year. So, like, it's solid stats, and it means he's still firing at 33. So it's a good move for both.
Yeah, I maybe piggyback on that. I think for a player move to Bayern Munich, like you said, maybe go 4, 4.5. I think at this stage, if Newcastle are going to get European football, he's 33, go get a couple of titles, and in the state Bayern Munich is, it looks like you probably will get game time, even if it's just 4 for this season. So 4, 4.5. As a club rating, I don't know. I find it a strange one personally to go to for a 33-year-old that. There's surely other fullbacks out there. Yeah, price-wise, he might be good. You've got the experience, and it's a different game in Germany. He might be brought in to also help Dyer and Kane. I maybe go 3.5. Maybe push it at 4.
It's going to help
because he needs to
the
go
trousers.
Like, but I get a 4 maybe just because they need a fullback. That's all it is. And he is quality. You know what I mean? He's decent. So, Ziggy?
I think player is 4 because, yeah, he's 33 if he wants to win something. Look, not every player lasts to 37 like Ronaldo or, Messi or players of that caliber. Yeah, big Giroud. £20 million lamppost. But, yeah, like, I expect him to fall off within 2 or 3 years to a point where he's not really functionable in a big team, really. So I would say 4 for him because he has the opportunity to win Bundesliga and potentially go somewhere in the Champions League because Bayern are always just ridiculous. So yeah, I'm going 4 for player, but for club, I'm going 1. I think it's a terrible idea for Bayern. I don't get it at all. You're going to be in a situation where you're potentially losing Davies and then Kieran Trippier is falling off and then you got no fullbacks. It doesn't make sense to be signing a 33-year-old for me. Like, they're Bayern Munich. They could sign anyone. Like,
yeah.
Why him? Like, I don't know. I guess it's probably just for this season for the fact that he's like 10 mil.
Yeah, I mean, even that's strange to me to feel. Like, I mean, Newcastle paid 12 for him, and maybe it's the fact that he is agent. Maybe the fact that Newcastle, like, we've got a plan for the future rather than he's not going to be around. Maybe we cash in, we sort the financial fair play out, we get some of that back, and we just let him go early. Seems more of a viable option than the loan. The loan makes even less sense to me from a Newcastle standpoint. Perfect for Bayern, just get someone in, but. So yeah, all right, some interesting scores there, and I guess we'll go from one world-class player to another up the other end of the pitch. Plenty of news about this guy and about Saudi Arabia players in general. So many players going out. We saw it at Henderson last week that we covered. Milinkovic-Savic has also come out. Players wanting to leave after having like 6 months, and the big one is Karim Benzema. And if he's available, nothing's quite set in stone yet, but there is a couple of rumoured links that, Arsenal, if they can sort wages and financial fair play out, they'll be interested. Even if Chelsea is still needing a striker, I'm sure if he's available, pretty much for any club, there's even rumours that Madrid might take him back. There's pretty much a big group of clubs that are surely interested in, despite his age, he can finish it. He can put it in the back of the net, can't he? Karim Benzema, is there a specific place you boys might want to see him go?
Oof. Two big ones are Chelsea and Arsenal. I think they're both looking for a striker in January. I think Arsenal need him more, probably a bit more than Chelsea. Well, personally, I would think that, but I'm not sure that would happen. I don't see. It's a strange one. I don't see him going back to Madrid. I think came out and said that they're not looking to sign anyone in January. But Arsenal and Chelsea for me is a good fit.
I'd take him at United for a 6-month loan, easy. He'd be ideal. Like I think we've too much pressure on Højlund at the moment. I think we're struggling for goals. If we have to revert to 2 up front with Højlund and Benzema, perfect. I mean, I guess we haven't really got much service, so it's not like he's going to get much service either, but it's still Benzema, you know? I think anyone would take him right now, given... I think the big thing as well is we've just seen Tony get the captaincy at Brentford. Doesn't look like he's really going to be going probably at least until the summer. Looks like he wants to kind of stay and repay, his form and the fact repay the club a little bit. And so, I think strikers have gone up even more than they even already were. I think Benzema, anyone who can get him, why not? Like, you do worry a little bit that having gone to Saudi, it just might have dropped off in his fitness a little bit, but he's a professional. I can't see that being too much of an issue. That's the only thing that could be a potential problem. I'm just looking for downsides, I guess.
Well, you talk about him being professional, and that's when I feel like at the top club he is. Maybe, it's kind of like a retirement scene, I guess, is a retirement for some players. They can sort of take it easy, maybe in Saudi. Whether it's a push for a move away, but Benzema apparently has not turned up or turned up late for several training sessions already. I mean, he's only been there 6 months, so that pretty much, I guess, kind of covers his thought process towards, the league, towards the team, whether he actually does want to be there, whether he does take it serious, whether he thought it was just going to be a little, like we say, retirement, get a nice, pretty penny. It's...
Only person who seems to like it there is Gerrard. He's having a great time.
Yeah, he's just signed another contract, hasn't he?
Yeah, man, he's re-upped it.
Oh, yeah? What's he on now? Right, blimey.
Yeah.
It's probably on like 10 billion a month.
He'd be on more than. I'm going to say we haven't spoke about it. Maybe that's an idea we could do going forward. Maybe like wages in Saudi Arabia, like even the managers are surely on a decent whack.
I'll be on a good one.
Getting sacked from Premier League teams and then going make triple in Saudi Arabia is interesting. But Benzema, I think if people can make it happen, if an Arsenal or a Chelsea could make it happen, even if it's just like a loan move, if that is an option, bite the bullet, pay a big chunk of his wages. I think it might be tough because obviously the amount of wages that he's on, like it says, Arsenal haven't been a serious link just because they're financial fair play. Whether they can actually even think about covering his wages. And obviously the Saudis don't want to let him go. Again, it's another bad look. So they'll probably doing everything they want to stay. Like, he's even a bigger one. Henderson, they can let go, you know what I mean? A Benzema's a big name that it's going to be even worse of a look if they do let him to go. So I guess we're going to some ratings. And nothing's set in stone, so obviously it's a little trickier with clubs. I guess we can sort of look at it if it is like an Arsenal or a Chelsea, like we've covered previously, teams that do need a striker. But for pretty much anywhere in Europe, I don't see a bad place. If you need a striker, you need goals, it's not a bad place. Not a bad guy to bring in at all with the limited strikers and options we do have. So, player rating for Karim Benzema transfer away from Saudi Arabia. I'll let you start, Ziggy, on this one. For a player move, for him to get out. Good move for him at this point.
I'd say a 5. I think he's still quite undervalued in terms of who he is, in terms of his legacy. I think he's an incredible player, and for some reason he still doesn't get spoken about in the terms of kind of respect I think he kind of deserves. So if he did come to the Prem and just start banging them in, like, it's going to get him kind of talked up, I guess, in the conversation. And so, yeah, I don't see him coming in here and being a flop. It doesn't seem possible to me. I think, 5 for him. I think it's a great move.
Jaden?
I'm going to say 5 as well. The Man United transfers give me Cavani vibes a bit. I'm not sure he'll do as well as Ziggy says, to be honest. But I think for the player, it's a good move. Playing the Prem, or maybe if you can, if he goes to the Prem, definitely. And he'll 100% start wherever he goes and he gets minutes.
Yeah, I'm going to go 4.5 just because I think there is a slight little doubt, like you say. Has he been taking it serious? Is he a little off his game? Is he 36? Something like that.
Possibly.
You know, can he, we saw it. Madrid, he left at a good level, but can he still hack it? Kind of, I'm sure he can. But he needs to be, for me, part of a team that isn't a project, that needs sort of a striker now, like an Arsenal. Someone that, if they had a striker, they'll be pushing for the league. They'll do well in Champions League. I don't think a United's a great move because, it's an ongoing project. It's something that's going to take time to rebuild. He's going to be a kind of like a quick fix for a big problem, really, that needs addressing further on. But it would help, like a Højlund and other players. So, 4.5. For a club rating, anyone bringing him in, I'll let you start again, Ziggy. Is that top of the range as well?
So I was going to go 5, but I'm going to go 2 now because I looked up his salary and he's making 4 mil a week. So I don't think that who's affording that? 4 mil a week? That makes it
clear why we ain't got the solid links for Arsenal and people in financial fair play. That kind of makes it clear. 4 mil a week. To turn up late to training.
Nice life.
That's the thing for him, though. I know, sorry, going back, but for him, you can sort of just make that money and retire in a couple of years. Like, you've done everything, you've won everything. Why come back and risk it now? Like you say, there is a slight chance you might ruin your legacy. Just a slight chance you come back and you people say he can't hack it in the Prem, or he's past. You know what I mean? He's past it.
He can probably retire next week. Honest with you.
With that amount of money, we can all retire, man. Sorry, Ziggy. Repeat the rating for the club.
I'm going for a 2, just because he's so expensive, and I'm assuming it's going to be a 6-month loan. And unless they buy him and then negotiate, then I would probably say a 4.
To be honest, I mean, it's not going to be a loan because Saudi aren't going to pay for. Say a Premier League team pays for 200k. Saudi aren't going to cover the rest just to let someone go out on loan, and no one's going to pay more than 200k for him. So loans is off the table for sure. And I've heard that the Saudi bosses were offering him to other teams in the Saudi league. So they want to keep him because it is a bad look, as you said before, Jake. So I'm gonna separate for a club to get Benzema, disregarding the money. I'm going to say 5. But that means he gets bought by a team and then he takes a massive wage cut. That's the only way I see him leaving.
Yeah, and the team that gets him, if you bring him in, he's only got a good maybe year left, 2 years at a very push. So, like, you're paying that money, like, nobody else he's then getting him off the books as well, you know what I mean? So you bring him in, he might be a quick fix for an Arsenal or something, but then even if you're paying a big chunk, it's still getting him off the books later on for however much you're paying. So maybe a loan is a better move. Be like, all right, we'll take him for 6 months. Quick fix for what we need. We need a striker. We bite the bullet. We'll pay whatever ridiculous wages, get goals for 6 months. Maybe he'll take us to the elite. Yeah, I'm going to go probably same as you, Jane, I think. Maybe a 4. Just wage-wise, like you said, for the money that you're bringing in. He's a quick fix, but it's expensive. For the teams that need it, though, if you need it, there's not many options out there. He's proven bring him in for 6 months. If you're in Arsenal, you know what I mean? He might help get you to push for the Premier League or do well in the Champions League, which then you get money back for that, for the further you get in them competitions, which can help cover them wages, then send it back to Saudi and really invest in the summer when you've got time.
So yeah. Just you say 4 mil a week?
Yeah.
Ziggy. So 6 months is 100 mil.
Well, maybe it's a bit over the top then, because he's supposed to be on 100 mil a year. That's his
100 mil a year. Okay.
Yeah, that's supposed to be his
6 months is
basically
6 months is 50 mil. So that's like just for the wages is nuts.
Because he's second highest paid player in the world after Ronaldo right now.
So they must be fuming with him then. I didn't realise he was second highest player in the world, and he's not turning up to training. Well, I'm just reading now. There is links actually to Lyon, obviously the club that he was at before Madrid, and they're 16th. They're in relegation zone.
They probably don't have 4 mil wages for the entire team, unless
they've got some decent friends out in Saudi Arabia. They're going to struggle, but it definitely helped for sure in a relegation battle.
I don't think they're going to send him to the French league, because Ronaldo's come out and said the Saudi league is for sure better than the French league, so they're not doing that. That's just a
dig at Messi, though, isn't it? Come on, the man's just got Messi in his head rent free, and like, it's just embarrassing every time he says something like, "I've been a Ronaldo fanboy, but goddamn." Dude.
He's gone from want to win he went on Piers Morgan, who was like, I want to win 7-8 Ballon d'Ors, to been like, Ballon d'Or, because I scored 50 goals and I didn't get it. He's like, it's kind of lost its credibility a little bit. I'm like, make your mind up, bro. Do you want the 7 or 8, or is it not the same as it was? Like, yeah. Plenty I say we could do a full episode on Ronaldo and Messi, which I'm sure we will do at some point in the future. I guess we can move on. Some big scores there for Benzema. Obviously, because he's a world-class striker. Be interesting to see if we do the same for the next boy. So for a striker that is heading out of the game to a striker that looks to be making a real impact, as Michael Richards would say, bursting onto the scene, we've got Victor Boniface. Currently at Leverkusen, who are top of the league, unbeaten this year, who are absolutely tearing it up. Bayern Munich look to be sweating already. And the main link we've got is a West Ham. Looking at maybe breaking their transfer record fee, which they're looking, I think, about putting a bid in of around 50 mil, which would be a crazy signing. Someone that's at the top of the game in the Bundesliga, you know what I mean? In Europe, you'd think maybe there were more links with such a limited amount of strikers going on. You'd think maybe a bigger club would be in for him, if I dare say. West Ham are a big club, but there is bigger clubs in stature financially out there, isn't there? Thoughts, boys?
Oof. Well, 50 mils a fair chance. For him, for the team, for Leverkusen, I know it's a lot of money, but I think they'll just take the opportunity and keep him and see how they haven't lost yet. They haven't lost, so they could go all the way and win the league this year. So it's really tough for him to want to move in, for the club to want to sell him. I'm not sure if it will happen.
But how many times have Leverkusen sold a player for 50 mil? It might just be too irresistible. Like, how many times are they gonna? It depends if they really think that it's worth keeping him to run it out and try and win it. But I don't know. I think a club like Leverkusen might, for 50 mil, like, if Bayern were buying him, it'd be 10 mil,
How often do they get the chance to potentially win the league?
True, yeah. It
does also longevity. Sorry, like longevity-wise, when you look at it, I'm like, how many of these players are going to be staying after this season? Is Alonso going to go to Madrid after this season? Like, it could be just a one season. It's usually, we've seen it happen a lot. A team comes out of nowhere and then Bayern next year are back to it, or they've took half their players, or is it now better to cash in because you might not be in that situation next year. They've got so many Frimpong, Wirtz, so many players that are probably going to get big money moves. Alonso, the manager's surely going to be going somewhere else. You know, I'm sure Madrid are eyeing him up as an ex-player and a replacement for Ancelotti. So it's a question, isn't it? Do you cash in now? 50 mil's a big chunk.
He's also injured till April.
Yeah, he's out of the AFCON as well, and he just got injured the game before.
It says early April return on for his injury. So for 50 mil, he's not going to play for you this season anyway. Probably, maybe the last few games. Which,
if you look at West Ham specifically, I mean, they've been playing Bowen up top. You think they got rid of Scamacca. Antonio's, is he gone or he's not been cutting it? He's past it now, isn't he? So it's like they've been playing Bowen up top. Yeah, they've been overachieving though. They've done well, but they've definitely been sort of overachieving in games. I think at some point it has to catch up on them. So they do need a striker. And it's one for the future, you know what I mean? Even if you get him in April, you've locked him in. He's one that there is such a limit. Maybe you'd sell him on for a little more, and if he has a good season in Premier League. Because he's gone in 2 seasons, he's gone from Belgium to top of German league and now to a 50 mil Prem in the Premier League. And is he, I want to say he's like 23, 24 or something?
23.
Check.
23, 10 goals, 7 assists this year.
I think it could be quite a shrewd piece of business, to be honest, because I was looking earlier because I guess we'll give him a quick mention. Calvin Phillips being linked to West Ham. I was looking at that and I was thinking about it being a bit of a strange one. And I was looking at their stats and their goal difference is they've got they've conceded 32 goals, I think, which isn't terrible. It doesn't suggest that they're lacking in CDM. You know, they got Ward-Prowse, Souček can play there. I don't really see it as a real need, but to secure a real top striker for them is definitely been an issue for many years. Bowen's been class up there, but it's not really his natural position. And I think if you could secure him just because he's injured for a bit cheaper, I think it's be quite a smart move. It's not like West Ham are going to be doing a whole lot this season. Next season is definitely something that they want to build upon and do something a bit more next season. So I think it could be a really good decision for them.
And the 6th as well. We've got to remember for outside players in Europe looking in, whether, we're saying West Ham might have overachieved, but the 6th. So players looking in, they're like, if we come in, we could somehow push for a European spot. I personally don't think they can do it, but they're there, you know what I mean? They're 5 points behind Tottenham in 5th. I'm like, West Ham could be looking at them like, this is a great time to maybe bring these players that we couldn't get before, couldn't get last season, might not be able to get next season. I'm like, it's maybe a great spot for them if they can to spend, like you say, invest in the future, because then it only helps them next season. Like you say, maybe they're overachieving a bit, but it's working in their favour because outside players are looking in and like, they're top 6. I don't mind going from top of Bundesliga to a European team in the Premier League. Because Premier League's got such a pull that it seems a lot of players at some point do want to come here. It's a strange move for me. I just think, like you say, with the stature of the club, with the limit of strikers that we do have in the market.
A strange move for him, you mean?
Yeah.
Or for West Ham.
I'm like, yeah, West Ham just, it doesn't seem like it'll be a good fit. They need a striker. It's a good chance to prove himself. It's a good level. It just seems a strange one. I did think there'd be maybe other clubs, bigger clubs coming in. I'm like, with the limited strikers that we have in Europe, like you say, he's got 10 goals and 7 assists in 18 games. There's also, I don't know what his record is for Nigeria as well. He's decent, but to do that at the top level already, maybe we've got to give him a season to say it's proven, but the limit of strikers that we do have, is he not one on other people's radars? Maybe West Ham have spotted him and be like, let's lock this up pretty quick.
Could be. And I didn't actually realise they were 6th, so they could do a bit of an end of season push to solidify their European spots. They always play well in Europe, for the last few seasons. I would like to see their books though, because they have spent quite a lot. I know they had the Rice money, but they've spent a lot in the last 5 years. Like strikers that haven't worked out, like Allaire and a few others, Skamaka. It would be interesting to see maybe in next year they might struggle with financial fair play, like a lot of teams have. And I think even like Newcastle have been scared off by the Everton getting deducted 10 points, and then potentially now again with Forest. So I think teams are taking it a bit more seriously.
Yeah, and City getting relegated.
Yeah.
I guess we can go on to some ratings then. So for a player move, for Boniface, also pronunciation wise, I don't know. I know some people say Boniface. I'm not clued up, so don't go at me. For all the 20 viewers that are listening about the pronunciation, Victor Boniface.
I thought you were Nigerian.
Yeah, deep along the line, generational line. Yeah, so Victor Boniface as a player rating, I'm struggling with this one. As a player rating, I'll maybe go, I think a 4. I think it's good exposure for him if he is going to West Ham. Come play in the Premier League, the best league in the world. Come play at a solid level, and he can prove himself. Even if he does stay there for a season, even if he's not in Europe, he has a chance to prove himself to the other sort of big European teams. I think it's not a bad move, but if Leverkusen fall off, that's where it comes. You know what I mean? If Leverkusen are hanging on to everyone, they're hanging on to Alonso, then by all means stay at Leverkusen. It could be a serious project. I just don't think that's the case. So it might be a good move. Get out now before everyone's gone and they've been bled dry. To the Premier League. I'm also biased. I'd like to see him in the Premier League as well.
Yeah, I think I agree. I've gone 3-4, so maybe I'll go 3.5. It's tough to leave a team. They've definitely got a good team chemistry right now, and you might have a lot of your teammates giving you a bit of a side eye if you leave. But for him, for his future, to show off a bit in the Prem, maybe get another move after that, because his trajectory has been good, like you said, from Belgium to Germany and then potentially to Premier Leagues. Yeah, 3.5 I'm going to give him for a player move.
Yeah, I'm going to go 3.5 as well, because I think he could do better than West Ham, but if he goes there and he doesn't click straight away and it takes a bit of time to get going, I don't think there's going to be much pressure on him. It can't really be much worse than Antonio. So I would say a pretty good move, but I feel like he might just want to get fit, play out the season, see what they can do in the league, and then potentially get a bit of a bigger move. When you're 23, 24, you're going to sign like a 4 or 5 year contract. That's like the big prime of your career, and so there's also kind of money on the line there too, where it's like that's your earning years in your prime as a footballer. So I'm going to say 3.5 just because I think, look, Højlund went for 50 mil, and he'd played 6 games at Atlanta off the bench, barely.
Yeah, but that's a Man U deal, so it's not the same. It's not the same for other clubs.
But also, you know what I mean? If you are him, like you're saying, if he is out till April, there's no harm in sitting out to the summer. When the summer comes, you can kind of just see that side of, how it's going with Leverkusen. And then there's probably more teams that are coming in that summer transfer window to really, get him in early and stack the team up. So for him, he might have some bigger offers if he does wait out until summer, or bigger teams in that sense.
Like a Chelsea or something.
Yeah, if they haven't locked any other strikers up, it might be a good time for him. And his hype isn't going to go down because he's not playing. You can say he's been in, but he's still, the record that he has, he's still going to stand in April because he's not had a chance to kind of tarnish it these next few months. So I guess from that, we're going to go to club rating. I guess I'll start again. If it is a West Ham, I think it has to be 4.5, 5. I think you need a striker. This guy's proven himself for the first, however, 6 months of the season. Top of the league in Bundesliga. He's moving from a club that's, in first in European football to you boys who were desperate for a striker. So then you can put your best player, Bowen, in his natural position out wide. I don't see a kind of a bad move. Yeah, it's 50 mil, but 50 mil is, when you're looking at 100 for Tony and 130 for Osimhen, if this kid goes on to what he could be, he's only young, he's got potential, it could be a bargain.
Yeah, I'm going to go for a 4. I think the potential is there for sure, like you've both been saying. He's not going to give him much of a push for the end of the season because he's not. He's injured, and that would be a real boost because they kind of need someone now. Playing Bowen in that striker position, centre forward, is rough. It's rough because you're losing he's not performing at his best there. He's doing a great job, but he's not at 100%. So a 4, but like they could be getting a player ahead of the curve as well. So getting a bit of a bargain, potential bargain.
Yeah, I've gone 5 as well. I just think Ings hasn't really done what people thought he would do. Antonio's not great. And Bowen's been good, but to free him up to play kind of somewhere else, I think is important. And then if you look at the rest of their team, like they don't have massive holes in their squad, West Ham. Like they've got a pretty well-rounded squad. The only places you'd probably say, okay, I need a signing is striker is the big hole, really. I don't know, maybe a centre-back, goalie, I don't know. But yeah, I think it's a striker, and you aren't going to get anyone for 50 mil at that quality. So yeah, 5.
Yeah, you think the level at West Ham are at, whether they'll be, kind of up there again next year remains to be seen. So it might be a good chance, their only chance to kind of lock in them bigger players, like you say, even if he is out till April. Maybe it'll help him next season, kind of push on. So yeah, some big ratings for old Victor Boniface. It'd be exciting to see in the Prem, a young striker who's got a lot of potential, to see how he does. He's still raw. It's still a punt. At the end of the day, 50 mil on someone, he was in Belgium and then he's had a good 6 months for Leverkusen. It's a different type of game. It's a quick change up. Belgium, Germany, England were all in the space of a year and a half, 2 years. So it is also, could be a risk, just because, like you say, he might not live up to the potential. Moving on from Boniface, we're going to another actual striker who's in the Premier League. We've covered a lot of transfers. I talked about Newcastle a lot, about losing their players because of financial fair play, and one player that is linked away, which is a strange one to me. When I saw it, I was like, oh, this is pretty random. It's one of them that just kind of come out of the blue. We've got Callum Wilson linked with AC Milan. Nothing's set in stone, but we do know AC Milan have been looking around the market, I think, for a Giroud replacement, even though they spent money on Okafor and Jovic, whether they're not happy with them to sort of being the successor. Seems like they're looking for someone else, which Callum Wilson from Newcastle, another blow for Newcastle. Yeah, you've got Isak. You can't lose both of them. But thoughts on this one? Did this one kind of shock you a little bit? I'm like, it just seems a strange move at this point in his career, doesn't it, to go from Newcastle to AC Milan for me?
Bit of a weird one. Giroud is getting a bit older, and I don't think the other two, Jovic, well, they're not firing for sure. I think people are just taking advantage a bit of the Newcastle situation, trying their luck, maybe trying to get a bit of a cheap deal. But I mean, for Wilson, I guess it's a good. He's getting to the. I don't know how old he is. Close to 30, I guess.
31.
31. I mean, it's good to get some experience. AC Milan, playing for AC Milan, playing for Newcastle and then AC Milan, two quite historic teams. I don't think it'll be a bad thing for himself, but for Milan, I think it's quite risky. He carries a lot of injuries, he's injured for half the season, pretty much for the last 2-3 seasons. So I don't think it's a good option for them.
Would it be easier though in Italy? Like you said, we always talk about the intensity of the Premier League going to another league where it's a different style of football. Or is it just the fact that he's had so many injuries, like he's bound to get injured at some point? You know, players that once you've been injured or you've had certain injuries that keep coming back or recurring, like there's nothing you can really do about it.
I would say that. Yeah, I mean, it's a bit physical over there as well. He's going to be up against some tough defenders. I mean, it's maybe not as fast, but you know, I think he's injury prone, so I don't think it's a good move for Milan.
They are also linked with Sesko at AC Milan from Leipzig, the youngster. Is he Slovenian? I want to say off the top of my head.
See, that just makes no sense because like those are like two completely opposite players. Like one's really young, at start of his career, big prospect, and one's like ailing, older. I don't think Callum Wilson's a terrible move for AC Milan. I think he'll tear it up, to be honest with you. I think it would actually work really well just because I think the injuries come down to, especially in the Prem, to the speed. Like, to be an attacker in the Prem, you've got to be rapid. It's just, you can't do it without any sort of like minimal pace, you know? And so I think you see attackers fall off essentially the second they hit their 30th birthday. So I think really it's a good move in some senses for both of them. But yeah, I mean, if they're thinking about getting someone like Sesko, then yeah, obviously get him. But it doesn't really seem to make any sense to me, those two.
They have to be clearing someone out shortly because you've got Okafor who's young as well. Like he's the kind of one, it seemed like you got Okafor or Sesko at the start. Then they got Jovic who's, I think, was he like 26 now maybe? Then you got Giroud who's 36. So it's like they're getting someone right in the middle of that. But then they've got 4 options. They've got a young prospect, someone a little older, someone who's in the prime, and then Giroud who's a little past it. But you've got to clear. You don't need 4 strikers. You've got to clear.
I think replacing Giroud with Wilson is smart. I think that's pretty.
I think
allows
it's
the other ones to grow and takes the pressure off.
And he's a goal scorer. He grabs goal. That's kind of what they need. I've watched him a couple of times, and like sometimes they do. They create chances or they get into certain positions, and it's like they just need someone who's. Giroud was that. He's just dropping off a little bit now. You know, he ain't got that pace or that. Wilson's still kind of in his prime. You got a good couple of years. Get a bit of
chemistry with the English trio if he moves there as well with Tomori and
Loftus-Cheek. A lot of players who are making that move. It's interesting because we've said there's been kind of a limit in strikers. We said you've got to go for Tony or Osimhen, and then this episode we pulled out 4 strikers that are kind of a good fit, a good buy for really anyone. Are we surprised no one else is kind of in for a Wilson? Like even like an Arsenal or someone. He's covered him a lot, but like it's not a bad move. Someone who's proven in the Prem to get goals. Why is it just AC Milan, do we think?
I don't know. Wilson's a more recent player being targeted from Newcastle. So maybe in the next couple of days we'll see Arsenal. It's a cheaper option for sure for them over Tony and other strikers we've spoken about. So maybe it is quite a good deal for them because they don't have a goal scorer. They don't have someone that will score them goals. So who knows?
It's interesting. I'd be interested to see. I couldn't really find a set fee of sort of what was in discussion. It'd be interesting how much it is.
How much would you think is a good deal? Fair deal?
A fair deal? It's 31 goal scorer. I could see him going for like a 40 mil or something. 35, 40 mil. He's not, when he's fit, he's kind of the second-hand striker or the super sub. So I think it's a good move for a club that, can offer him that game time and start him every game, which I think Milan probably could do, and he'll get goals there. But he's got to be on it. If it's to the Premier League, got the English tax again. So I know he's older and knocking on. You've only got a few years left, but he's got to be in that range. If West Ham are paying 50 mil for Boniface, who's not really proved it for 6 months, I'm like, Wilson's been doing it at Bournemouth, Newcastle. He's been doing it at teams that, you know, aren't really top tier. So if you put him in the City squad or whatever, he'd get 30 goals a season. It's all it is just staying fit. He can finish. I mean, I'd get 30 goals at the City team.
30 goals.
I mean, we all would. City's a bad example. Anyone would get. You put anyone in that City team, you'd get at least 20 goals a season just standing in the fucking box.
Yeah, but he only plays 15 games. He only plays 15 games.
Yeah, true.
So come on, 2 a game.
Yeah, 2 a game.
I think it's probably to do with the fact that he's been so injured. Like, it's been quite rough this season. I don't know how many games it is total, but it seems like he's never available. Maybe it's just because he isn't there for the big ones. But I think once you get to that age and you're just picking up injuries after injury, like, you got to just send the horse to the glue factory, you know?
But for him as well, he probably is wanting to be... When he first came to Newcastle, he was signed probably as the big man, you know what I mean, to be that 9. Then Isak came in and he was like, oh, I'm going to be second string here. So for him at 31, that probably feels like he needs a run of games or just to get going. Go somewhere that's, you know, going to give you probably more game time and you can pick up a little form for the prime years.
So a couple stats, quite interesting stats. He's played 14, but he's only started 7, which maybe shows you his injuries. But he scored 7 in 7 starts. And a goal for every 104 minutes played. So
if you can keep him fit, he's guaranteed goals, isn't it?
But starting 7.
So maybe it is a perfect fit, you know? Maybe Milan is a perfect fit. Italian, different type of football. Maybe get out the Prem. It could be a perfect fit. But again,
kick us off with a player rating then.
With a player rating? To go from Newcastle to Milan, I think I'll give it a 4. I think it's it's a solid move for him. Like you said, there's an element that it could help him. He might get more game time. It might help him with his injuries. And if Newcastle don't do out, then next year he's probably still going to be in Europe competitions, playing in the big sort of places you want to play. So I don't think it's a horrendous move with him sort of in the second string. Newcastle might. It seems like they're kind of in a move with like, get rid of Isak or get rid of Wilson. We've got a striker, but we've got to get some money in. I don't mind it. I don't think it's a horrendous move. I think it's kind of could work for a couple of years for both parties. What about you boys?
I'm going to say 3.5. Playing for Newcastle, playing for AC Milan, both great clubs, and he'll definitely get some. There will definitely be opportunity to start if he physically can or not. It's another question. But yeah, he's going to be pushing for Champions League. It's more likely to get Champions League games over in Italy. So it's I'd say a good move for him.
Yeah, I'm saying 4. I think the speed of Serie A will really benefit him injury wise, and I think it'll give him a few extra years on the end of his career, really. So I think it's a good move for him. He's not going to get as much game time with Isak and the injuries. So yeah, I think 4, decent.
Yeah, I could see that. So for club rating, I guess I'll kick it off as well. For club rating from Milan to take him on, I'm going to go 3. Primarily just for the risk, like you said. Like, if they can keep him fit, I think he is a good fit. He can guarantee you goals. He's got that English connection. It's just a huge if you can keep him fit. And if them 4 strikers or the 3 that you've got now aren't doing it, if it's the choice between him and a young prospect that could be, a big player in a few years' time, you might be better off taking that punt again on someone else. I know they have done that. It's tricky. Like I say, it's just that keep him fit. He'll get you goals. I think he does well in Italy. I think he does well in that team, and it can help him really push on. But if he's not fit, if he's not getting game time, then it's just a waste of a transfer. Really, bring someone else in.
I think he's a great player, and he's been unfortunate with injuries. So I'm going to say 2. You know, I've got that insider scoop from watching the Newcastle documentary as well. So I know how much he gets injured, and I know they spent like a good episode on it. So when he is fit, he does fire. But come on, I'm giving it 2, and I'm going to say if he does go, I think Newcastle are in trouble. They've only got 2 other strikers. One is Joel Linton, which plays centre mid, and the other is Isaac. So they're short of players. They
and
really
Isaac's
are
had
short.
a couple of injuries, couple of like stints out here and there, hasn't he? Sorry, Ziggy. What are you?
Yeah, I'm gonna go 3. I think it's a good rotation if you're getting rid of Giroud, replace him with somebody a bit younger, but that's not gonna impact your other 2 players' development. I think it's pretty smart. They don't want to be spending like loads of money on, unless they want to get Sesko. That's a great idea, but then you don't really have much experience. So I think it's kind of a smart move if they can get him a decent price. That for me, it's all about price, because I wouldn't want to be spending more than 25 mil max, maybe 20.
Thinking about it now, I know I said 35, 40.
I think it's a bit
I think
much.
To an ace, mate. I think 30 is probably, if you're Newcastle, you're probably asking for around 30, aren't you? But yeah, if it works, if he stays fit, it's a good move for anyone, really. I guess worth a mention as well. Sorry, go on.
My diehard AC Milan friend said he'd take him in a heartbeat, would cook in Italy. So,
all right, there you go.
Well, like you say, if he stays fit, he'd cook.
He would cook. He would cook if he.
No one can cook in the injury room. So I get we can have a mention as well. That's pretty much it for the transfers that we have got to cover today. We'll probably be back with another one next week, with a final maybe wrap up for January. Hopefully, so there's some big ones that go through at the end of the day. An honourable mention. We just read that Almiron, sticking with Newcastle, has gone to Saudi Arabia, which seems like Newcastle having a clear out, doesn't it? I think it's pretty much set. Yeah. It's been, let me double check, but I think it's pretty much, agreed, sorry, it's agreed.
Yeah, they've agreed, yeah. I think that's a bit of a strange one, to be honest, because I feel like Almiron's like quite underrated. He's been pretty class for the last few seasons, and I can see why he's the kind of player that they want to get rid of, because he's maybe not like world class level if they are going to try and build towards that, but he's at the very top of the not world class list, you know, like if it's world class and the rest, he's top of the rest, in my opinion. He's a very, very, very consistent, good player, and he works his arse off. So it's a bit of a weird one that he's going to Saudi. I would have thought he would at least go somewhere competitive. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe it's more. It's that connection, though, isn't it? We've got to remember that Newcastle got that Saudi connection, and they're probably going to get, I don't know, 30 mil for him. I don't know what's been talked about, but that was the valuation that they wanted, 30 mil, which I was saying.
Maybe that's how they get around the FFP. They just sell him for 150 mil to their.
There you go, and then loan him back. They could loan him back. You don't know.
For 6 years.
You know what I mean? Loan. This might all be a ploy to, you know, kind of get around it. We'll get that in, and then in 2 months' time or whatever, we'll bring him back on loan, and then work out another permanent. He does seem like a good squad player, though. I was surprised to see that one go through. Another one we can cover quickly as well is my boy. I know you mentioned it earlier, Ziggy, when we were talking about Boniface to West Ham. Is Calvin Phillips on loan to West Ham? I think that's been pretty much on its way of going through, which seems a strange one. Of all the clubs that were linked with him, Juventus, even Newcastle, West Ham's the one at me. I'm like, they're pretty stacked in that sort of CDM department, that midfield that just sit in front of the back four. You got Souček, Ward-Prowse. They just signed Alvarez. Is it just kind of cover to see him out for the rest of the season? Because it's not. I don't think there's any buy option.
I think it's they're just filling the squad up. That's it. A bit of a push for European spot. I don't think it's a bad. He's obviously a decent player, and he's probably good in the dressing room as well. Souček's getting on a bit.
Nah, Moyes just wants to play 4 CDMs. He's still loving his Park the Bus style defensive football, even though he's got like talented wingers up the wazoo. I don't know. Weird one to me. Doesn't make sense.
It is, because I'm like, I did think there were better clubs that he could have gone to, even like a Newcastle that are desperate for a midfielder that could even just offer him game time right now at a good level. Maybe Newcastle could do that. Maybe Moyes plays around a bit. We've seen Souček in the 10, Ward-Prowse in the 10. But when they've got a fully stacked team without players that are away, it's tough to see right now where he kind of fits. If he doesn't, he ain't going to turn up like raring to go. If we know Calvin, like he's going to take a little bit of time to really kind of find his feet, get to match fitness, keep the injuries away. Maybe it's just a little backup. But yeah, that is all we have for this week. Like I said, we should be back next week with maybe a big roundup of the best January transfers, or hopefully we've got some more going towards deadline day before we get into it. If you did like it, any love is greatly appreciated. Please like, subscribe, comment, share, all the good stuff. Also, you can give us a follow on TikTok, and we're now on Twitter as well under Tea and Tackles, and this goes live on YouTube as well as listen on your journeys on Spotify. I personally have a betting page. We had an insane week this last week, so if you're interested in that, you want to see what I play on each game each day for my players, you can check out UTA_betting number 2, and I sell footy cards if you're interested live on Whatnot a couple of times a week, and you can follow me on TikTok and Instagram UTA_card collection. But yeah, that is pretty much it. Like I said, any love is greatly appreciated. We'll be back soon. Cheers for joining us, boys, and as always, we'll catch you next time.
Cheers.